Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's 11:05. Got an exciting video and a lot of information to review. Hopefully, everybody's had a great week. I've had some great trades the last week. Looks like the market is giving us a little bit of a relief rally here, a little Santa type rally. So let's jump into the first thing we always do is we take a look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ had its high, made its low down here. And for the record, I only have moving averages pulled up and some indicators. I don't typically show more of the complex indicators that I use. But so, in any case, for you guys to understand, we made this low and on extremely low volume over the course 6, 7 sessions, we've had uprising. Yesterday, this day again, yesterday, I mean, you could see this here, ridiculously low volume, which is I don't want to say it's a concern, but volume being so low while the market going back up is not ideal. I would have liked to seen a little bit more volume, but in any case, taking what the market gives us. So kind of carved out a low above all the averages. So if above the 21, I always like to put my foot on the gas. I'm going to look at the RSP because I like to look at the equal weight. It gives me a little bit more of a look under the hood to see if every stock is participating and not really. I mean, the RSP today is up a half a point. I'm sorry. Yes, half a point. This is an equal weighted S&P. So everything again is just equal footing. Kind of been pedestrian like. So, in any case, you give what the market or you take what the market gives you rather. And right now it's giving us a little bit of a relief. I did pull up a metric here I wanted to point out to everybody. I don't know if you guys can see this. I posted this on Instagram yesterday, and this is, seasonality is a thing usually. It didn't necessarily work in September and August, which usually was weak. We had a strong seasonality. Um, but if you look at these years based on presidential cycles, and I mean, it's literally all green. It leads me to believe that, we're probably going to have a decent December. I'm betting on it actually because I'm a little bit more invested in the last week than I normally would have. But this is another indicator, and I always like to, when I'm making my decisions on how I'm going to invest in the future, I like to look at past precedent, and this is a good indicator. So moving right along, Bitcoin. So Bitcoin had a really big bar yesterday. You could see that big green move there. It was actually quite a move. It was from the low of like 86 and it got up to 93. So quite of a bit of move for Bitcoin. So again, everybody is so emotionally erratic with Bitcoin. The days that it's up, people are like, "Oh, you see, the days it's down, it's going to blow up." I don't know. I mean, I buy Bitcoin every week, but I do hedge when I see downside. I've been hedging a very large portion of this. I've had the majority of my hedges have worked, not all of it, but the majority of it has worked and protected some downside. It is one of my top 5 largest holdings, and because of that, I have to hedge Bitcoin whenever I see breaks below the averages. So I saw a break here and I started to hedge. And the way I hedge is always IBIT puts. For you guys that hold large positions in Bitcoin, you might want to consider IBIT puts when you lose averages. A good indicator is just kind of watching this to see when it breaks your averages. I'm not saying this is a foolproof plan. It's what I do. Um, People could do different things. It's just how I manage the hedge, and I don't want to sit through these large drawdowns. Which again, if you started hedging at 110, you were very intelligent. I did not hedge the entirety of it, but I did hedge a good amount, and so it worked out. I'm hoping this gets up higher. My gut tells me it won't. I think we are due for relief. I think we are going to start floating in this 105, 102 area, but I'm not overly bullish on it. And because of that, I'm not trading anything with it. I'm not selling any Bitcoin, but I'm not trading it. So that's my theory on Bitcoin. Gold, um, I've mentioned this, that bottom move I thought was truly, it carved out the bottom right here. It refused to make a lower low. And with that, it's just come back up. And I mean, you could, you could call this a cup with a handle breakout. technically, I just think this is going higher. I think it's going to break the high. I think we're in line for $5,000 an ounce. I've positioned myself accordingly. Like I say, every video, there are so many names that you could play. GLDI, which I own, Barrick, which I own, which Barrick has just been on an absolute tear. Harmony, I do not own, but this is another one, a gold miner if you choose, or GLD, or you can just buy gold. Up to you, whatever. All right, so we've got those major things. So now let's touch on the backdrop of the market and kind of go over a couple things. Um, One of the things I did want to mention was yesterday's close. Yesterday's the close usually gives you a good indication on the market. Usually, the majority of institutions show their hand in the last 20 minutes. I always want to see a strong close. Yesterday's close was not very good on a lot of individual names. However, the volume wasn't that high, so I didn't read too much into it. But you always want to ignore the open, focus more on the close because the close is what's going to really tip their cap, or it tips their cap to the indication as to where we're going. Yesterday, it was announced that Kevin Hassett will be the Fed chair. That's Trump's decision on the Fed chair. I personally like the move. I think this move is going to be, listen, whether you like whatever, getting without going into politics, here's the reality. Kevin Hassett is on record saying he believes rates are way too high. So he's going to cut rates. I mean, he's announced he's going to cut rates. So the only thing you can do is position yourself for that period of time and invest accordingly. Kevin Hassett's cutting rates. We know that. So how can we position ourselves on potentially expanding multiples? So smaller cap names, growth stocks, builders, probably going to be benefactors next year. So with that said, I'm going to position myself accordingly. I do think by Q4 next year, we're going to have ungodly low Fed rates. Will that correlate to the 10-year Treasury bond, which is right here? I don't know. We're still over 4% on the 10-year, by the way. This is how you really gauge mortgage rates more so. Everybody thinks because the Fed rate comes down that mortgage rates go with it. Not always necessarily. You always want to look at the 10-year. That's more your indication on mortgage rates, so to say. Okay. So what did we do? What didn't we do? I laid it out on Monday. I really liked American Eagle going into earnings. I said I would take calls. I said that on Monday, 2 days ago. I sure enough did take 21 strike calls. A couple of you people, like some of my family members, know you guys were in some chats. I called it out. I took 21s 5 minutes before the break, before the bell, sorry, rather. And American Eagle did not disappoint. I guess they call it the Sydney Sweeney trade. It worked out. Apparently, her involvement has helped move a lot of merchandise for multiple reasons. They announced, I saw, or I'm sorry, I heard on their conference call that they sold out on Black Friday of like all the merchandise correlated to her advertisements. I don't know exactly what it is, but they sold out entirely. On top of that, they issued an upgrade. So many things happened to American Eagle, both from last night and then today with this upgrade. So my calls are sold. I got out of my calls this morning. They were expiring this Friday. This was strictly a play on earnings. Worked out tremendous. I think the people that were part of that trade with me, we got about 110% return on investment. So for you guys that were part of that chat and the guys that did get in that I mentioned Monday on the call, awesome. Congratulations. Great trade. It was definitely one of my better trades of the year. So for the record, how do we play this? The retail sector is strong. Consumers are not very intelligent and the sentiment is strong. People are still spending money that they don't have. So it looks like we are going to keep spending and ignore what's really happening. And that's what's happening with all these retail names. American Eagle and Abercrombie, another one that I have my eye on, are just doing great. And so with that, I'm going to look for an entry point into this stock. I would not be surprised if I take a half position to start at the end of the day. This is a large gap. I would love to see it break over this wedge, but I'm probably going to buy shares. I don't know if I'll buy it today. I don't know if I'll buy it tomorrow, but I'm definitely going to buy shares. I have to find my entry point precisely of what I like, but I am going to buy American Eagle because that company is going up. Their earnings were fantastic. Everything about it at this point is great. All right, moving. I digress. Moving right along. One of the trades that I got into last week, I mentioned everybody was debit energy. I know this isn't sexy enough for some of you guys. This is an energy name, oil and gas. I really like this name. Kind of riding that 5 day, came down yesterday. I actually added to my position yesterday. I'm up on this actually. I also have calls that I added yesterday. I had calls yesterday with a strike price of 40 going out to next year, and I added to my position. So, needless to say, I'm pretty bullish. I think this is setting up really nicely for you. By the way, this is not financial advice, rather, this is for educational purposes. I think this is setting up really nice. Um, it's a trade I think you can potentially look at. Not as sexy, but I think it's going up. All right. What else we got here? What else we got? Apple. I got into Apple another since I'm going down the non-sexy path. I got into Apple 2 weeks ago. Might not consider this sexy, but this is doing absolutely no wrong. And I think this is just going higher and higher. Yeah. So I'm in Apple. I think this is actionable. I did see their Black Friday disclosure. I spent about an hour reading through who performed really well on Black Friday, the metrics. The AirPod, one of the AirPods, I'm not sure, I forget which one specifically, was the top selling item on Amazon and a couple other distributors. So Apple really, between their items selling good on Black Friday, and then also I think the PC resurgence in this country, they've been a benefactor. So I own Apple, and I still think it's actionable. All right. Oh, sorry. What else we got here? Okay, let's start from the top. AMD. Man, I've sold so much of this, and I still own like a little floater position, maybe, like a decent size, nothing crazy. And I'm just looking for the break above 226, and then I'm back in that bad boy. You could call this a double bottom. I'm not going to call it, well, I mean, it is kind of a double bottom. But anyways, I want to get above here is my entry point for 226. So for me to add shares, I want to go above that. I think that might give you a nice entry point. If I was advising, I'd say you could get in here above this, and I would probably set a stop loss here. So relatively wide, probably not your usual 5%. But I think that's a good risk reward. Get in at 226 above this wick. Set your loss on the bottom of this wick. If it loses the bottom of this wick, I think then you need to cut it. I think the trade has failed. Up to you how you play it, but that's would be my educational purposes advice. Or sorry, I can't say advice. My what I'm doing. All right. I got back into Palantir last week, and I didn't get into actual Palantir. I got into PLTW, but I'm just showing you the Palantir chart. This is a double bottom move here. This actually looks great. I'd advise that this is actionable. Yep. Even every time I think this stock is dead, it just continues to claw itself back. Granted, way off the highs. I mean, the highs are 210, 173, but I got in on Friday on PLTW. I'm up on this trade, so that was Tuesday, Monday. That's here. I got in. I got my dividend yesterday, and now I'm up like 3-4%. Whoop-de-doo, 3%. Anyways, I think it's actionable. I mean, I don't own a huge position in it, but I'm back into it, so I'm just telling you what I did. Another one that I talked about last week and also the week before was United. I got back into United again, and I really got back in when we got clobbered, like I think it was like a week and a half ago. This was a name that held up pretty good. I don't have my lines up here, but so what it did was on you see this trending line. I think I got in here if I'm not mistaken, and it's just been a good trade so far. Today actually having a great day, up 3%. I'm in shares. I mean, nothing's changed with United for me. I still think United is going over $400. It's going to have problems with the overhead supply. I told you here. But I'm in a decent sized trade, so definitely at $400. If I can get there, I'm going to unload a piece of that. But I'm optimistic. Okay, and I'm going to keep going here. This one's a bummer for me. IMNM. I did have a great trade on this, but I definitely left some meat on the bone. So I sold half the position last week. I think I mentioned it either maybe before Thanksgiving. Yesterday, I got stopped out in the morning, and I don't mean I didn't get stopped out for a loss. It's just I moved my stop losses up with profits, and I was up. I was up on my shares over 20%. I was up on my calls over 35%. I gave back. I sold half my calls, half my shares. I gave back a percentage yesterday. I got stopped out, and then look at this move. But that's the way this game goes, guys. Like, I mean, it doesn't always work that way. It sucks. I got stopped out somewhere in the middle here. So I probably am a 4% difference. I am going to look to get back in this, by the way. Not now, not on this move, because I need to see the daily range. But if I'm trying to give guys a perspective, if you're not in the stock and you're looking to get in the stock, the way I would look at the stock is to see how it closes today. You want to see it close on the upper 80 percentile of the high. The high of the day is 1948. You don't want to see it close at like $18. Then I would not get into it. I'm not in it. I am going to look to get back in it, back on my list. Okay. Rigetti, I'm still in this short. Oh, so Rigetti, I'm in this short still. I actually added to my position yesterday. Nothing to write home about. I think I'm down like 2-3%. I have short puts with a 24 strike price. I think it's 24 out till May of next year. I have puts. I'm down 2-3%. I think this is going to $5, so whatever. Okay. 16 and a half minutes. Moving along, moving along. I digress. Okay, Microsoft. Microsoft got hit hard today. Actually held up better than I anticipated. It opened much lower. Yeah, I know you see that double top move. That's all bullshit. Every cup and handle's a double top. So they had some news today, and they had lowered sales growth for certain AI products. And I have a feeling that we're going to see more of this. That sucks. I know some people are still in this Microsoft short. I got out a little bit early. I think I got out here, and then it went here. I obviously couldn't time the bottom, but anyways, I still think this is probably actionable for a short still. I still think this is going lower. So congratulations to you guys that are in shorts. Kind of hard to short in this tape though, but and then I'm going to give you what else? Reddit. I am going to get into Reddit today. I'm jumping into Reddit today. I have a trigger set. I want it over 218. I'm sorry. My triggers were 219.50. So yes, I need to get back into it. I might execute that trade actually the minute I get off this video. I will be entering into Reddit. This was on my scanner. This was one I indicated over the weekend. I like this trade. So I will be entering back into that. And then finally, UTHR. I got into this like 3 weeks ago. Slow mover. Anyways, this is not action. I take it back. Don't get into this. So, in conclusion, I gave you some names that you could potentially play for the week if you desire. Um, you have the ability to look at some of these names. Look, I think we are going to rally into the end of the year. There will be some selling at the very end of institutions, whether it's for some capital gains offsets, what have you. So make the best out of this time. Look, all the doomsday guys, I know I get videos from you guys all the time saying that the insider selling is at an all-time high. Look, I agree with you in regards to down the line, but please understand, I don't trade and invest by trying to predict solely a year from now. The market always front runs things. I shift and move what the market gives me. And I want you to understand for those of you that are trying to learn is a lot of people would say, "Ben, but Jack, why are you going to sell here when you know it's just going to come back up?" Because I play by the rules. I stick to the insurance. Once it loses averages, I was pretty much very cash here. You don't know how far down this can go. This could have, yeah, it stopped here. It could go down here. It's a protection mechanism for most people. It's risk management. And for a lot of you, you have to understand that over time, this set of rules, it pays off. William O'Neill says this in his book. And sometimes people are going to laugh at you. You know, you're out here. It's like, oh, you sold, yeah. But now I'm back in a lot of names that I was here, probably at the same portion that I sold. It's protective measure, using it as insurance. And for those of you that don't understand that, please read people's books that are a lot more intelligent than me, Mark Miravini, William O'Neill, and educate yourself on that. So, don't be a putz. Don't be these people that are holding bags like they did back in the COVID days and it took them 2 years. Like, don't be that guy. Play by the rules. All right. I hope everybody has a great week. Go make some money. All right.